Welcome to Vegas Business Spotlight, the podcast that brings you the brightest minds and success stories from the bustling business scene in and around Las Vegas. Join us as we journey behind the neon lights and uncover the strategies, triumphs, and insights that shape the entrepreneurial landscape of the City of Lights. From visionary startups to industry titans, get ready to be inspired by the stories of those who've turned dreams into reality on this iconic stage. And now, your host, Tim Knifton.
And welcome back to another episode of the Vegas Business Spotlight. Today, we've turned the tables. We've turned the tables a little bit. I am actually going to be hosting this episode, and I am going to be interviewing the usual host of the show. It's sponsor, Mr. Tim Knifton, owner of RSVP Las Vegas. Tim, welcome to your own program today.
Thanks, Marco.
So the reason why we are doing this is because every now and then we like to actually sit down with the show host and the owner of or sponsor of the podcast so we can find out a little bit more about what they're doing. Typically, we're interviewing guests. As the name of the show will tell you, these are typically Vegas business professionals, although we do invite an occasional nonprofit. But RSVP is actually going to be the star of the show today, and Tim Knifton is that representative of RSVP advertising. So hoping to be able to get some information out of you today, Tim. We want to learn a little bit more about what it is that you're actually up to and exactly, what RSVP does specifically. I know what RSVP does, and I'm very impressed with it, and I think it's a extremely powerful resource for businesses to be able to grow and advertise and market in a very safe, consistent, and in a way where you don't have to worry about all the nitty gritty, scary stuff that you typically would if you were trying to do all that on your own. I know for a fact that RSVP actually takes the big load, off your back for that. But we'll find out those details. We'll talk to you more about that stuff. So again, Tim, thanks for allowing me to kind of flip the table around here today and talk to you a little bit more about what you guys are doing in Vegas.
Yeah, thank you, Marco.
Absolutely. So let's start with this. I'm going to ask you the same question that I ask the guests when they come on and when I'm every now and then I do guest host for you. And I like to start off with, give me your 30-second elevator pitch, short and sweet and to the point. If you only had a short period of time, how would you describe RSVP advertising and what it is that you do?
Absolutely. That's a great question, Marco. So RSVP Las Vegas mails luxury postcard packs to the wealthiest 27% of homeowners, 90,000 households in Las Vegas. And we do that to mail to wealthy, affluent consumers that love to spend money. They love the arts. They spend 3 times more than the average consumer when they go out and buy stuff. And they're value or quality buyers. So, a lot of places, they sell on price, but you don't get the service and quality of the product. RSVP Las Vegas targets consumers that want quality, value, and service when they buy.
Okay, so there's a lot of addresses in the Las Vegas area. Now, you're not just in Vegas, right? You're kind of also doing some of the Henderson and some of the surrounding areas. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We primarily mail to the Summerlin area, Spring Valley, Enterprise, and then Henderson and Green Valley. We're hitting all the wealthy subdivisions, Anthem, Askaya, the Summit, all the wealthy subdivisions in Las Vegas Valley.
Okay, gotcha. So what I was getting at earlier was that there's a lot of addresses in that area, in and around Vegas, right? Some of them are, for lack of a better term, the type of building that, if necessary, could be attached to something and wheeled off. Okay. So that's not the type of neighborhood that RSVP mails to. Am I right?
That's correct.
You guys are very focused on where those postcards show up, and you're not going to waste your time sending stuff to the wrong list.
Right. We target homeowners because homeowners are going to spend more on their house, and they're more likely to be a longer term client and a repeat client, even for larger purchases. And then in addition to that, the average household income is about 150,000. And then in addition to that, the average house is valued at 681,000. So they want to maintain the value of their house and add home improvement and home services that maintain and improve the value of their house. They're never going to buy on price unless you bring them the best price and the most quality.
So to your point earlier, typically this type of person, this type of buyer, they like to, for lack of a better term, keep up with the Joneses a lot of times, right? These are the type of people that will do room additions, that will do upgrades. You know, they're not just sitting around and saying, all right, when the air conditioner breaks, that's when I take action on my house. They're actually looking at things and saying, what can we make better here at home? How can I improve my backyard? How can I upgrade or update the kitchen? How can I clear out my garage? How can I make my garage look better? Can I make a can I have like a man cave? Can we do a room that's dedicated to the wife, right? And on that note, who between the two, the husband and wife, typically receives these cards? Who typically is more involved with that type of decision making about, hey, this thing showed up. It's really appealing to me. I like it. I think I want to do this. Is that normally the husband or is that normally the wife?
It's actually normally the wife. 90% of the consumers that open our luxury postcard packs are female. So there's a couple reasons for that. And that's because, one, they're checking the mail, but they're also making the buying decisions and maintaining the household. So the males, for whatever reason, aren't the ones checking the mail every day. So, I can't tell you how many times I'm on the phone with clients and advertisers of RSVP, and I'll say, hey, did you get the postcard pack in the mail? It went out 2 weeks ago. And you know what they do? They're like, hey, hon, did we get a postcard pack in the mail? So
Right.
it happens almost every time. So I haven't ran across a client that actually checked his own mail yet. They just know it works because their wife's buying stuff out of the mail. So they ask their wife, hey, did we get the packet?
Yeah. Tell me that percentage again. What was it that was female?
90%,
90%. Holy
9 out of 10.
smokes. Yeah. So she's the one that's really more interested in kind of doing things to maintain or upgrade the home. And then let's just be honest, right? Papa's job is to really just kind of sign the check, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a final stamp of approval. Okay, fine, we can go ahead and do that. Yeah, I need your card, I need your debit card. Okay, that kind of thing, right? That sounds like that's a reality within that demographic, right? Of the more affluent home, especially there in and around Las Vegas.
Yes, that's correct.
No question. Okay, give me an example, if you would, Tim, of what maybe one or two previous advertisers that have had some real success with RSVP advertising. Can you give me maybe one or two different types of businesses and just kind of an idea of what they do and maybe what kind of an outcome you saw that they had with it?
Yeah, just out of our last mailing, one example, we have a handyman service. And a lot of the affluent homeowners that we're mailing to, they're over 60, 65, 70. You know, they're in their golden years and they're enjoying life. So they don't want to do the little knickknacks. They don't want to repair the baseboards. They don't want to replace the light fixture. They don't want to replace the sink. They don't want to, replace the door to their bedroom. So they're going to call handyman service. Our handyman service, we did a mail-in 3 months ago. He's still getting calls almost daily right now, even though we mailed 3 months ago.
Gosh.
Because so many people want just little things done around their house to make their quality of life better. And so they're picking up the phone, they're calling him, he's going out and servicing them because they don't want to do it themselves. So he's gotten over 50 calls. He's had over 30 website appointment page visits from our cards. So in addition to that, 60% of the people that receive our cards are going to go online to the website directly and call the number on the site. So he's probably even double what we've been able to track for him.
Wow.
So he's well over 100 new potential clients that could be anywhere from 500 to a couple thousand in work on their house. So he could
Yeah.
have easily made, $50 to $100,000 off of just one mailing in revenue for his business.
Gosh.
Another example of what we have is we actually have a shutter business down in Florida. And they had a new client, their first mailing. It went out the first day that consumers started getting the postcard pack in Florida. They got a call, $10,000 job accepted.
Nice.
That fast. First
Love it.
day, first postcard pack. It's the
Huge
mail.
ROI. Yeah.
Someone opens that up and they buy $10,000 in shutters. 4 days later, same company gets a $50,000 contract.
Wow.
They made $50,000 their first week, and there were still more mailers going out. So it's just incredible how it can turn around a business and help keep the employees busy, help the owner make more money, lower the stress of, hey, where's my next client coming from? Because now he knows every quarter he's going to get a flood of business that'll help him stay, way in the black for running a successful home improvement company.
Absolutely. Now that may or may not be, the norm, or that may or may not be exactly the same situation, but there's certainly that potential for that. That's you're aware of what the other RSVP franchises are doing throughout the country. What you just described, that's not completely abnormal. That's something that actually does happen pretty frequently. It may not happen on day one, but that's not pie in the sky scenario that you just described with RSVP, right? I mean, am I right?
Absolutely. The average person in a mailer or average advertiser in a mailer will get roughly 20 calls or 20 website leads off their website. So all they got to do is get in the deck, and it's pretty much guaranteed that they're going to start getting leads.
Yeah.
And then it's up to that business to be successful and have the right salesperson answering the phone, as well as the right person following up on those leads so they get that business, they get that estimate. I got one more great story for you.
Please.
We had an advertiser. He mailed out in 2021 with us and then stopped mailing. The following 2 years, he got 85 leads without sending out another postcard.
I like it.
85 leads after stopping for 2 years.
Unbelievable.
And then he started advertising again with us in August. So
That's
it's
nuts,
pretty
dude.
incredible how long of shelf life these postcards have. People keep them because it's easy. They put it on their fridge and they're like, I'm going to do that, but now's not the time. So, 6 months later or a year later, they grab that postcard off the fridge, pick up the phone, and call to get an estimate.
Yeah, one of the things that I notice about the card is that they're not like flimsy. It's not like a magazine type of thing. It's a postcard, right? It's a nice, high quality, glossy. It's a high level of high number of stock, right, of the card. And so the way the thing is presented, you're less inclined to just trash it. That's why I think a lot of people say, you know what, this is important. I'll put it in this drawer. I'll file it, or I'll put it on the fridge, or what have you, which means that there is real potential there to go back to it at a later time, maybe next season, maybe here at the turn of the year, if not here in the next week or two. Some people have urgent needs. Others are like, we'll do that eventually. But either way, the card itself is definitely lends itself to, more credibility because it looks so nice, and it's less inclined to just get trashed like a lot of these other things that we receive in the mail that just feel cheaper. They just feel cheaper. It's a lot easier to trash that stuff, right? So that's
Absolutely.
one of the things. Tell me a little bit about the quality of those cards that you guys are putting out.
Yeah, so we do a full color back and front option for advertisers, and it's 105-pound stock. So it almost feels like a high quality photo. So it's a matte finish, UV glaze. So it's pretty incredible. When you pick up a card, it has weight. When you pick up our luxury postcard pack, it's heavy. It's probably the heaviest thing they receive in the mail. So, if they pick it up with a bunch of other stuff, it's falling out and they're picking it up and seeing the advertisers on the front and on the back immediately. And then we always put some amazing offer on the front. so that when people get it, they're going to open it because they want to take advantage of the $10,000 sweepstakes or, gift card drawing or whatever big offer we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Tim, do you give the advertiser any kind of a guarantee as far as results or anything like that? Is it just, is it kind of wide open? We don't know what it's going to do, like a billboard, or do you give some sort of a guarantee to what type of a result that they could at minimum receive?
Yeah. Whenever I'm talking with a potential advertiser, I'm always transparent. We have about 40 key categories that we can guarantee they're going to get at least 50 leads from. So as long as they're able to be in one of our key categories, which is home improvement and home services,
Yeah,
I can guarantee them at least 50 leads over a year.
got you.
Most of
Yeah.
them are averaging anywhere from 200 to 600 calls from our advertising in a year.
Jeez, I like it.
So one of our successful advertisers here, they got 74 calls since our last mailing.
That's huge, man.
So with 4 mailings a year times 75, they're going to average 300 leads that they can close and capitalize on during the year. And
Yeah,
that doesn't include all the leads we're bringing them that we can't track that went to their website directly because they typed in, the business into Google and then went and called directly. We can
yeah,
we can really up, people always wonder when they start a business, how am I going to get calls? Why
yeah.
when is my phone going to ring? We
Right.
can basically guarantee it for the right industries, whether that's home improvement, home services. If you're in any of those about 40, 45 categories,
Yep.
you're going to be successful. And we can guarantee results over a year, at least 50 leads.
Yeah, so with RSVP advertising, there's a real sweet spot with those home services to the point that you were making at the beginning of our podcast, which is that, you're sending it out to these very specific neighborhoods, to these very specific type of homes, and it's getting in front of the perfect audience, right? Which is, again, typically the wife. She's usually that decision maker when it comes to those type of things. And so you really are kind of laser focused. You're kind of laser targeting that perfect prospect. Part of the problem with other types of advertising, for example, if you got a billboard on the side of the highway, you just a wide range of people that are going to be driving by. You might get lucky to get the right eyeballs on that thing. A lot of people are not even looking at them. They're focused on traffic, right? If you're on social media, gosh, there's 10 trillion things that are screaming at you on your phone all at once. And so it's hard really to stand out on social media now because the phone's just got so many constant things to pull you away and to distract you and to have you looking at, anything and everything else. With this is a proven old school offline marketing method, right? Direct mail, I'm a big fan of it. It's huge, man, and it's one of those things it's kind of being ignored by a lot of other advertisers because they see it as old school. No, I just want to be in the digital stuff. This is what's fun and cool and sexy and all this kind of stuff, right? But ignore direct mail at your own peril because your competitor may be in that space and there are eyeballs looking at it, and most importantly, they have their undivided attention on that postcard deck for what, 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, which nowadays for an advertiser is extremely difficult to do, to get someone's focus away from their busy life for 5 to 10 minutes and focus in on your offer. That's enormous, especially when it's something where you got to put the phone to the side and you actually have to go over here and you look at this thing, right? Now, talk to me about the stats because you guys have been doing this for so long that you actually know more or less what the stats look like in terms of like engagement. Like, what's the percentage of people that are actually opening up that package and pulling out those beautiful glossy cards and looking and reading those things compared to just if I got a one-off postcard in the mail that may or may not actually get in front of it. What is the likelihood that someone's actually going to engage with that deck?
Yeah, I got 3 stats I want to share with you. The first one is we have an 84% open rate. We have some
Jeez.
tricks we've learned over the 35 years to go from a 1%, action rate for a single postcard to an 84% action rate with our postcard deck. And then in addition to that, it's nearly 90% that every person that opens it is going to call at least one postcard in our deck. Almost 9 out of 10.
Wow.
And then I have a third stat that I really love that I want to share with you.
Yes.
We can pair with a good digital marketing campaign and increase revenue 163%. So we
How does
work
that work?
really well. So basically, when people are busy online, they see your ad, they wanted to do something, but then, a friend's text message pops up and they forget, right?
Yeah.
They're too busy online. They drive by your billboard on their way to work, but they're listening to the radio. They'll call you in the evening and then they forget again. But you got them with the undivided attention while they're opening their mail. They see your postcard, they see an offer that they want to take advantage of. That's how you capture all the other marketing is great. That branding online, that telling them the message, telling them why to use you. But we're the direct advertiser that gets them to pick up their phone and call you to get the estimate and actually do the action for the work. So all that other marketing online, billboards, radio, TV, that actually helps us and supports us to be 163% more successful when we mail out our postcard with you.
Wow, man. That is unbelievable, dude. 35 years. If you were doing the same exact thing for 35 years, I bet you would have it down to a science. And that's
It is a
exactly what
science.
RSVP has done. Am I right?
Absolutely.
That is colossal. You brought up a really cool point earlier when I asked you for a couple of examples of the type of businesses that that are doing well, that you've seen some great results. You had some really detailed stats. You said they got X number of calls, they got X number of website visits. That implies that all that stuff is being tracked somehow. Are you guys actually able to track the phone calls, the website visits, and things like that?
Absolutely. So we do call tracking, and then we'll put a QR code on each postcard for QR code tracking. So again, our audience does tend to be a little bit older, so not all of them are using the QR codes,
Yeah.
but we do track that for all our advertisers. And so when someone wants to know, hey, what were my results? I can give it to them, and the results are always pretty amazing.
That is incredible, man. Yeah. So let's kind of summarize everything here that we've discussed on today's podcast. So today is all about Tim Knifton with RSVP Advertising of Las Vegas. You're the franchise owner. Your niche, your focus with this particular business is Las Vegas and the surrounding area. You guys are offering a basically turnkey, essentially done for you package where you don't have to worry about coming up with the design. You don't have to worry about maybe even necessarily the offer. You're going to help with that. You're going to kind of help brainstorm with the business owner to figure out what's a good mouth-watering offer that the carrot that you can dangle in front of that prospect, right, to get them to improve and increase the likelihood of them giving you a call. That is part of your consulting or consultative process, right, as far as getting them on board with you. Is that correct?
That's right. So we have a professional graphic designer team that designs the cards. They've designed cards for all over the country, so they know already what's working. Then I have a design coordinator that liaisons with the business owner. They can actually help them find co-op deals and have manufacturers help pay for their advertising. And then they've been doing this for 33 years. They were around during Yellow Pages, and used to actually work for Yellow Pages to bring in successful ads. So they've been designing and creating these ads that are successful for 33 years. So after the design, we go to the printing. We have one of the best printing presses in the nation. They print, collate, package it, and then we buy the mailing list. That's all included as well. And then we package it. We drop it off at the post office, and then the post office delivers it. We include the postage, and you can get that for as little as a nickel per postcard. If you go to
Wow.
the post office and just buy a stamp, it's 53 cents. And
Correct.
then you got to go find a printer for your postcard, and they're going to charge you, 25 to 50 cents, depending on how many postcards you're printing.
Right.
Know? And then in addition to that, then you got to buy a mailing list if you're doing it yourself. And who
Yeah.
knows the quality of this mailing list? We have the best quality, and we're able to verify its homeowners. So every once in a while, I'll run across somebody that's tried to do their direct mail and it hasn't worked for them.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee you they're going to get at least 50 leads from our system. So it's
Yeah.
just amazing working with those business owners.
Right.
They come in with an attitude of, I tried that once. It doesn't work. We're able to coach, consult, and help them create the right postcard for the right audience and get it into the hands so they're getting calls right away. And so, I mean, we have an 86% retention rate for advertisers.
Sheesh.
Almost nobody drops out once they start because we're just so successful.
Right.
It'll significantly impact their business if they're not in the RSVP advertising postcard deck.
That is enormous. And I actually didn't pick up on that. One of the comments you made was that these are homeowners. So you guys are not sending this list to an apartment complex, right? And do you mean to tell me that if there's a street and there's 10 houses on that street and 2 of them are renters, that they're not going to get the postcard at that house?
They don't, because the problem we find with renters is they may only rent there for a year. They're
Right?
not going to repair the fence. They don't care about the AC unit. That's the homeowner's responsibility, the landlord. And then they're not putting in the pool. They're not installing solar panels. They're only going to be there a year. And then they may be just there in Las Vegas for a year. Do you really want to spend advertising dollars on somebody that's not going to be a long term resident
That's right.
of Las Vegas?
That's right.
And then they also don't care about the home as much as homeowners. They don't eat out as often as homeowners. They don't spend as much money as a homeowner.
Wow. Yeah, it's really common for people that to try direct mail and for that to flop. But let me tell you, that's not because direct mail doesn't work. Direct mail is one of, I find direct mail to be almost like a vending machine where you're able to put in $1 and it spits back out $5. Or you
Well,
put a
I'll do
dollar
even better for you,
in.
Marco.
Yeah.
Give me $1, I'll give you 10 or more.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Our average advertiser is getting at least $10 back for every dollar they get us.
So that's what RSVP is, right? When you're the right niche and you're in the right category, one of those 40 plus items that you guys have really narrowed down, there's an extremely high likelihood that this is just going to turn into a big money vending machine for you and your business. The problem may simply be just make sure you got enough guys that are ready to go fulfill. Because most businesses tell me, I'm a business owner as well, and they're telling me that their biggest issue is finding leads. They need leads. Give me more leads. Give me more leads. Right. Well, in this case, we create new problems, which is that I got too many leads that I don't even know what to do with here. That is the kind of problem that you should be looking for. That is the problem. And that's a problem that you can solve. You can get more help and you can bring in some more people. You can turn the volume up on stuff like that. But where you're really dying is when you don't have that lead flow coming in. That's where things start to get extremely scary, especially with our economy. It's been a little shaky.
Yeah. And think about it this way, Marco. Let's say you had, an extra $100,000 in revenue every quarter for your business. Would you be able to hire somebody of better quality and more skills and more responsibility that won't walk off the job, that cares about his job because
Heck
he's
yeah.
going to have trouble finding another job that pays you as well as him?
Heck yeah.
What could your business do with 50, 100,000, $400,000 more in revenue a year?
That's
You'd
right.
be able to hire the right people. You'd be able to attract the right people. People would want to come to your company because you're able to provide the best benefits,
That's
the
right.
most pay, and you'll become a leader, the best of the best in Las Vegas when you partner with RSVP. Because
Yeah.
we can bring you the leads. All you got to do is run your business and hire the right people.
Tim, this is huge. I mean, this is really something that business owners that are the right fit for this should not be sleeping on. Again, this is a tremendous opportunity. It's something that has an extremely high likelihood of working, which is very difficult to say for any form of marketing or advertising that's out there. Everything you do is a roll of the dice, right? As business owner, everything we do is a gamble. Some things we're able to get a return on immediately. Some take a little bit longer. But again, you guys, RSVP has been doing this so long that they figured out the system. They figured out the process that actually works. And again, a lot of people, if you've tried direct mail in the past, you need to give this another look, because if you were doing it, on your own, or maybe you hired somebody else to do it, I seriously doubt that they had the years of experience and trial and error to figure it out like the way that RSVP has, right? And so
Absolutely.
this is a conversation that you need to be having. Again, you need to open your mind a bit. you need to have another, opportunity, another consideration, and say, look, maybe we need to really look at this again. Or if you've not looked into it, it's time to really start looking into this as, something that you can try at least once. Again, 86% renewal.
86% renewal of our advertisers.
86%. So the odds are heavily in your favor of this working so well that you're going to want to continue to stay on, right? And in my opinion, I think that's a pretty good gamble. I think 86% is a really, really good. The odds are. You're in Vegas, right? It's all about the odds and statistics. Everything we do as business owners is it's like Vegas. It's a roll of the dice. Like I was saying, it's we're taking risks here left and right and trying different things. But what we look for are things that tend to have a proven record of working well and a lower chance at failing, right? And that's all we can do. So we encourage business owners, first and foremost, have an open mind. Second of all, be willing to try things. When you commit to an entry level thing with RSVP, what are we looking at commitment wise? As far as, is it a 2-month process? Is it a 3-month process to figure out if it's going to work or not? What do you usually see?
We always recommend somebody sticks around for at least a full year.
Okay.
They get the best results. Now,
Gotcha.
all of our advertisers, they get leads right away.
Sure.
But the second mailing, they get even more leads. It'll improve about 20%. The third mailing, they'll get even more leads. And then when they're here with us, let's say a decade, they can count on the leads. And then they're upwards of, hundreds and hundreds of leads a year.
Sure.
We've had advertisers get over 1,000 calls a year from RSVP postcards, because it's not that they did it once. They did it consistently over time, year after year. They built their reputation. They did a great job. And then every time that client gets the postcard, they pick it up and they call the phone, and it's repeat business for that business owner.
Jeez, man.
I would encourage anybody interested in RSVP. A lot of other advertisers, they may allow 10, 15 of the same company in the same advertisement packet or magazine. We don't allow that. We have limited exclusivity. So we only allow 2 companies per business category to advertise in our deck. So if they are interested, we do sell out regularly. I have a couple categories already sold out, so we can't even accept them. So they need to contact me right away if they want to get in on this 10x return of their advertising dollars.
That's huge. And I'm glad you brought that up. That was something that was on my mind. By the way, can I go ahead and upgrade or do something to buy out that other slot? Like, can I dominate that and make sure if I want to pay a little extra, or it may be a lot extra, but it might be worth it?
Yeah. For certain businesses, we do offer exclusivity. They will be the only company marketing in the best format, the best media to the wealthy, affluent homeowners in Las Vegas. And they'll get every single lead coming in for that category. So we do offer that. That is an additional charge, like you mentioned, but it does pay out every time for these advertisers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm big on, I want to be the only one that they see. I want to be exclusive. I don't want my competitor right there staring them in the face, if at all possible, because that's everywhere we go. That's what's happening. Everything is, you do a Google search and there's a bunch of people around there. You go on YouTube and there's a bunch of other videos around there, right? It's just everywhere you look, or you're driving down the road, there's that billboard. Well, across the highway on this side is the competitor to that personal injury attorney, right? And so
Absolutely.
That's happening all over the place. But at least what you're telling me is that with RSVP, there's a chance, like I have an opportunity to be the only guy in that deck. And again, I personally think that is very much worth whatever extra cost, is incurred, especially if there's an 86% chance that I'm going to renew because it works so well. That sounds again like the odds are ever more in my favor to leave off on a very Las Vegas note.
Absolutely. Roll the dice.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Tim, for everything that you shared with us here on your show, on your podcast. You've got a really great podcast. It's still new. We're still just barely getting up and running here. But you've had some amazing guests on so far. Some people have, shared some really amazing things. I've been honored to be able to co-host a couple of those with you, and met some great entrepreneurs and some great nonprofits there in the Las Vegas area.
Appreciate
and you're
that.
barely getting started. You still have a lot of other people that you're going to be getting in front of here in the future, and interviewing and giving them exposure as well by coming on as a guest. So we'll kind of close out with that note. If you're watching this and you're listening to this and you're a business owner in the Vegas area, we want to talk to you. We'd like to, have you on the podcast as well, and we can interview you and kind of put your business on the spotlight and give you an opportunity to get some free PR. We actually offer almost $700 worth of free PR for any guests that come on your show. And that's colossal. That's huge. And let me tell you right now, as your producer, Tim, that is an extremely conservative number that I'm giving. It really is over $1,000 worth of goodies. There's no question. There's no question about it. And so if you're listening to this and you're a Vegas business owner, don't sleep on that. Reach out to Tim and let's schedule and get you on the podcast. But more importantly than that, Tim, if you're listening to this and you want to look into seriously taking action with RSVP, because like I've just had this interview. I'm like, send me a contract, Tim. I'm ready, man. This is freaking amazing. But I don't. If I had a home services type of business, I'm telling you right now, I'd be all over this. And I will say, I know there's a national advertiser that does. It's kind of like a door repairs, like garage door repairs and things like that. And I know for a fact that guy has bought postcards in multiple cities across the country. Why is he doing that? He has $100 million company, that guy. $100 million company. And it looks to me like RSVP has become like, it's just one of those standard expectations for him to advertise for his business. So if you want to be up on that caliber with businesses like that, right? RSVP may very well have contributed to this guy getting where he is today, because he was smart enough to try it probably in one city. And then he realized, holy smokes, man, I need to duplicate this thing over and over again, right? That's the caliber of businesses that you guys are working with. That's just one example. Yes. There are tons of others. And so this is a huge opportunity. Jump on it. You need to reach out to Tim immediately, and you need to lock in one of those two slots, or potentially maybe even that one slot if you can buy out the other. And don't wait anymore, man. 2024 is right around the corner, the time of this recording. We've got a new year coming, and it's time to start getting your advertising, your marketing into place. And one more thing. We're seeing some businesses that are experiencing a little bit of a slowdown. Contrary to popular belief, you do not decrease your marketing and advertising budget when that happens.
I can't agree with you more.
You've got to turn it up. And I think that RSVP is a fantastic way to do that, in a very affordable way to do that, and to do something again where, okay, look, the economy's contracting. Maybe my business is contracting. If I contract as well on my marketing and advertising, I'm just going to snowball my demise. That's really all I'm going to do. I'm pressing the accelerator to just speed up the process of me shutting down one day. How do you counteract that? You've got to be really, really smart and strategic about your marketing and your advertising. And with the statistics that you've thrown at us in this interview today, Tim, this sounds like one of the safest and smartest moves you could ever make, especially if you're in one of those 40 categories that you mentioned. So find out if you're one of those 40 by reaching out to Tim. Tim, what is the best way to contact you to talk about this, as well as being a guest on the podcast?
Yeah, you can go to my website, rsvplasvegas.com, or you can text or call 725-333-8660.
That's awesome. And obviously this information will be in the show notes. So we syndicate this show all over the place through our platform, Business Innovators Radio Network. So you'll be able to find that all over the place. We've got a landing page. What's the website for this podcast?
It's vegasbusinessspotlight.com.
That's it. Yep. So you can find this one as well as previous episodes and future episodes as well at that URL. So make sure you check that out, and make sure you, like I said, you don't waste any more time. Schedule a call with Tim. He'll go over this. Oh, I know what it was. I got one more thing I got to squeeze in. We're over time, but I really don't care. Tim, we talked a lot about the experience of RSVP, but I know you, and I know you well, and you're a friend of mine. This is not your first rodeo either. You're an experienced entrepreneur. You're an experienced business owner. You had a multiple 7-figure exit with the previous business that you had. You've walked the walk, you talked the talk. And so any consultation time with you is also time very well spent. And you will actually gain a lot of knowledge and a lot of information. I would go so far as to say, just have a short conversation with Tim, man. You'll probably learn something in a short 15, 30-minute call with the guy. And so you're gonna educate people on all these details of how well all this stuff works. You're gonna bring all your knowledge to the table from being a business owner for a long time now, having had run several successful businesses in the past. This is your latest venture, and again, you jumped into something that you knew worked. You didn't jump into something that was like, well, let's just start this from scratch and see how it goes, right? So your time will be very well spent talking with Tim, even on a short consultation, just to learn more. So again, call the guy, reach out to him, get a free consultation, and then talk to him about being a guest on the show. Tim, thanks again very much for your time today, buddy.
Thank you, Marco.
Absolutely. My pleasure. That does it, guys, for another episode of the Vegas Business Spotlight. We will catch you here next time.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Vegas Business Spotlight. For more inspiring stories and insights from the Las Vegas business community, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. And remember, you can catch new episodes each week at vegasbusinessspotlight.com, where we keep the spotlight shining bright on the entrepreneurs who make Las Vegas thrive. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next week.